Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Calling Out Creatures. I'm your host, Lori, and tonight I have a podcast for you turtle lovers out there called Shell Yeah! Turtle Rescue Stories. So I was pretty stoked to find out about the Turtle Hospital and Bette Zirkelbach, and she is my guest tonight, and she's going to be talking to us about sea turtles, which I think is really cool. And I happened to see these guys featured on Animal Zone, and I was like, oh, what good guest to have on the show tonight. So she was nice enough to join us, and now we're going to talk about all sorts of sea turtle stuff and all about the rescue that they do. Bette, thank you for being on the show tonight. I appreciate it.
No, thank you, Lori. Shell, yeah, I love the title.
I thought it kind of fit the podcast because, you guys do turtle rescue and stuff, so yeah, and it was just like it just kind of went right together. So for listeners that may be new to your work, what can you tell us what the Turtle Hospital actually is and how it all began?
I can. So the Turtle Hospital is located in the heart of the Florida Keys, and if you're not familiar with that, it's a chain of islands just south of the mainland of the state of Florida, and they're islands connected by bridges. It is Monroe County, Florida, and the Turtle Hospital is located right in the heart at mile marker 48.5. We are a veterinary hospital just for sea turtles. We were the first veterinary hospital for sea turtles in the world and are celebrating our 40th year.
Oh, wow.
Which is pretty amazing.
That is amazing.
And our mission, our goal with every turtle that comes into the Turtle Hospital is to get it rehabilitated, healthy enough to go back to the wild. And I just want to clarify that we do strictly sea turtles, so that's sea turtles that live in the ocean.
Awesome, because I know I've talked to, a couple other rescues that do turtle rescues and stuff, not maybe sea turtles, but turtle rescues, and they, are always telling me how they've got now taking on extra animals. In fact, the pelican rescue was like that too. They were doing pelicans, but now they're doing lots of the native wildlife. They're the smaller stuff. So they
yes,
kind of...
we are fortunate in our community. We have right down the street a Marathon Wild Bird Rescue. I actually rescued a pelican last week and took it there. And we have some really good small mammal, wildlife rehabilitators in the Florida Keys as well.
That's good to know. I'm sure the people down there are happy that there's such a diversity of you guys, because I know that you can get really busy sometimes. So.
It does, and we're currently caring for over 50 sea turtles right now.
Oh, wow.
We have the largest capacity of any rehabilitation facility in the world. We not only rescue sea turtles here in Monroe County, which covers over 200 miles of coastline, but we also take turtles from as far away as New England. We've gotten them from the islands, and on a global level, we raise awareness, we educate, we have Skype classrooms to educate people around the globe. And I can tell you, Lori, I get calls from all over the world, and we try to connect. If we cannot help them directly because they're too far away, we try to network and get them help for their turtles.
Nice. That's pretty cool. This is funny. I was just thinking, I'm with my local Lions Club, and I'm kind of their marketing person, and so I go out and I find guest speakers to be on the Lions Club stuff all the time. And I was like, as you were talking, and you were talking about the different Skype stuff that you do for education, I was like, I need to introduce this to the club and do something like this, because we have a projector with a screen, and then I could contact different people and just hook my laptop up to it, and everybody could come in and learn more. I mean, we're in Arizona, but you never know where people might be going to. I mean, there's a lot of, people that travel back and forth, like go back to the East Coast and stuff all the time. So you just never know where someone might turn up. And it would be, plus, a lot of people are like me and my listeners. We're all interested in this kind of stuff. So I was just thinking about that. Wow, I could have some of you guys come on and talk at my Lions Club sometime in the future. And that would be cool.
Yeah, the new technology, it makes the world so small, which there are some wonderful things we can do.
Yeah. Well, and I know, like the kids do the online schooling and all that kind of stuff, but I have to say, a lot of my club is older. And I mean, I'm old enough, but they're older than me, some of them. So it's like, trying to get them to do some new things sometimes. They're just kind of like, what do you want us to do? So, but I think they would go for something like that where if I could have people every so often just come on once and talk about different things like I do with my podcast, just, the radio version. I'm not on, video and stuff like that. But anyway, so sorry, just things I think about when I'm talking, and you just kind
That's all right. Well, it keeps things interesting, and one thing I have done for clubs, all throughout the country is to give a virtual tour of the Turtle Hospital. So you actually, or on a Google Hangout or a Zoom, and I take you around the facility just like you were here and introduce you to what we do here at the Turtle Hospital.
That would be cool. I may have to convince my club to do something like that and get guest speakers like you to do that every once in a while. Because I was thinking that the other day, too. A lot of the guests I've had on for my podcast, it would make interesting to have as speakers for my club as well, because, I'm sure they would like a lot of it. So, anyway, so what actually drew you into sea turtle conservation work and working at the Turtle Hospital? What got you started?
Well, I will say it was not a direct route for me. I didn't get into the wonderful world of sea turtles until about 14 years ago, but I did study biology in college. I left college to help my father's business. He had a heart attack at a young age, unfortunately, and I went in my early 20s to go help, and his business was industrial. It was a powder coating plant outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, but my heart was always in animal rescue, so as hard as I was working running a family business for a decade, for 10 years I did that, all my free time, Lori, I spent rescuing animals. So I did Marine Mammal Stranding Center out of Brigantine, New Jersey. I volunteered for the Tri-State Wild Bird Rescue. I raised service dogs for 7 years, and that was all stuff that filled my soul. I did not get paid for, and after a decade and I was making a 6-digit income, I left all that to move to the Florida Keys and follow really what my heart and passion, and took a job for $7.25 an hour to work at a nonprofit, the Dolphin Research Center that's here in the Florida Keys, and did manatee rescue and dolphin research, and I became director of facilities there. I was there for 12 years and then got this amazing opportunity to come to the Turtle Hospital and to see if the nonprofit could be self-supporting, and I have more than done that. So we've raised the revenues for the nonprofit to purchase the property from the founder, and they're really solid. We're open now 7 days a week and see over 115,000 visitors a year, educating people about sea turtles. So I'm really proud of what our team does and where the Turtle Hospital is, and it really feels like a blessing to work in a mission-based work. It's very black and white. Our decisions are made, for the turtle care.
That's awesome. I lived in Florida for a while, but I wasn't down that far. I was Tampa. It was about the farthest I really made it, but and that was quite a long time ago. That would have been 30 or 40 years ago. So maybe when the Turtle Hospital was just getting started.
Right.
So yeah. I would have came to visit, but I don't know if you're actually up and running yet.
Yeah, so it is quite the history of the Turtle Hospital. As I mentioned, we're celebrating our 40th year, and Richie Moretti, who is the founder and still the director, he's 82 years old and still very involved. He retired at the age of 40, bought this old mom pop motel called the Hidden Harbor Motel here at the same facility where we are now, and he was an avid fisherman with his partner at the time, Tina Brown. And it was before fishing regulations, so they would go out and fish for these tournaments and catch very large fish and bring them back to the dock to weigh them and get the pictures that you see all throughout the Florida Keys,
Uh-huh.
and the fish would die. Well, at the motel he bought, they had a natural tidal pool, and the first thing Richie did was put in a freshwater swimming pool, and then when that tidal pool, when they would bring the fish back, they would put the fish in the tidal pool so they would live. And in short time, he got an aquarium of sorts with local sea life, and the school found out about it, and they asked if they could bring classes to learn about local sea life. Well, by now it was the mid-1980s, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles were all the craze. So the kids would ask to see a sea turtle, and by then sea turtles were protected. So Richie went to the state of Florida and asked if he could put a sea turtle in his tidal pool, and they said the only way you can do that is to get a permit to rehabilitate the turtle, and that was essentially how the turtle hospital started. He got his first turtles to put in the tidal pool and help them, and then it became his life's passion.
Oh, wow. That's interesting. Wow. That'd be fun, a tidal pool with a bunch of fish and stuff like turtles in it.
Yeah, we still have that natural tidal pool. We've done some work to it, but it still has some natural sea life in it, and of course the sea turtles, in addition to the hospital tanks that we now have. And in the beginning, he still rented out rooms in the motel, and the cost of those rentals is what would help pay for the turtle care. And then in 2005, Hurricane Wilma came through the Keys, and it put about 5 to 6 feet of water throughout the facility here and in the motel rooms. So he did not open the motel back up, but then opened to the general public, and that's when the general public could come in and see sea turtles. You didn't have to stay at the motel to do it. And then I was hired in 2012, and at that time the Turtle Hospital had 3 programs a day and would see maybe 60 to 75 people a day. And I'm happy to say, Lori, we now see in season, we see between 500 and 700 people a day through the facility, and have 15 programs a day. And now, because of all that education, 6 out of 10 of our rescue calls come from people that have been through our educational programs. So it really is a win-win for the island community and for sea turtles.
That is awesome. That's great that you guys are able to do that and have that many people that come in and are interested in doing all the stuff that they're doing. Wow. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so it really works, and we see a lot of turtles. There are 7 species of sea turtles in the world, and we're lucky enough to see 5 of them in and around the Florida Keys.
I was going to ask you more about turtles.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead. I was going to ask you more about turtles, get some more information about them and stuff like that. So
the species we see most is probably a juvenile green sea turtle, and they feed on the grassy beds that surround our rocky islands, and we see all kinds of problems with them. One of the main things we see in over 50% of those juvenile green sea turtles is a horrific disease. It's called fibropapillomatosis.
Okay.
We call it FP for short, and it causes these horrific tumors on the turtles. And it not only is in the Florida Keys, but it's around our globe in warmer climates, and only found in and around developed islands, which pretty much tells you everything you need to know. But it's found off of the coast of Australia, Hawaii, Africa, parts of the Caribbean, Cuba, all the way down to the ABCs, which is Bonaire and Curacao. So it's really a horrific disease and can become a mortality event for the sea turtle. So we see a lot of that. We see boat strikes, fishing line entanglement, ingestion, synthetic or plastic ingestion, just a lot of human impact injuries.
Wow. And I don't think people realize that how many times probably a boat hits a sea turtle, but they do get hit frequently.
They do. It's, and as we see more boat traffic and the boats that come out on our waters now, they're bigger and faster, and they just don't give, sea life time to get away from them.
Right.
Sea turtles breathe air like we do, so they have to surface for breath, and sometimes that's unfortunate timing with a boat.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, most definitely. I mean, I just watched, I don't know if it was true, I haven't really looked into it, but the sail surfer that was out and ran into a whale surfaced. And he
Wow.
yeah, I think that was on the West Coast over there in the bay, one of the bays, I think. So yeah, they have this video, and it's a windsurfer, and he's going through the bay windsurfing, and you see this humpback, I think it was a humpback whale, big blue one, surface and breathe out, and the guy he was right there. I mean, there was nothing he could do, and he ended up hitting the whale, and he went flying, and the whale went back underwater.
Wow.
Yeah, it was kind of interesting. So, I mean, obviously a whale's quite a bit bigger than a sea turtle, but yeah, I guess if what do you do with her if they surface right there?
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, but with the sea turtles, I think it's more that they don't. I mean, they probably don't see them, don't even realize, and then they're hitting them, and because I mean, how big do sea turtles get?
So the largest species is the leatherback, and it gets up to 2,000 pounds.
Oh, wow. Wow.
A green sea turtle will get up to 600 pounds, a loggerhead up to 350 pounds, and the smallest, which is also the most critically endangered, is the Kemp's Ridley, and that only gets to weigh about 100 or 120 pounds.
So, wow. That's still, I mean, even the small is big. I mean, that's almost, that's a little bit less than what I weigh. So, I mean, when you stop and think about it, holy crap. I mean, so yeah, and that's the small one.
That's the small one, right?
Yeah, wow. So how long do sea turtles actually live for? I mean, do they have a longer lifespan? I mean, about a mid-lifespan? How long are they alive?
So they have a long lifespan. They've been known to live upwards of 100 years.
Okay, because I was going to say, I knew, the tortoises and stuff we have, here, the desert tortoises, the big ones or whatever, and stuff like that. I know that they can live up to that long. So I was wondering if the sea turtles had the same. So that's interesting,
Yes.
100 years. Wow.
And that's if we take care of our oceans, Laurie. They can live a good long time. That's
the big point right there, right? Taking care of our oceans, because we're damaging them, and people don't believe we're damaging them. And I was just reading an article the other day where they were talking about that one's the stream, and it's the major one with the the warm water and the cold water, where they're kind of coming, like you saw in Day After Tomorrow, the fictional. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so they were talking about that stream, but they said that it is breaking down, and that can severely change. So I mean, and a lot of it's being caused by a lot of stuff we're doing. So yeah, I mean, we need to start watching and quit dumping stuff in the oceans and trying to help out more animals like the sea turtles and the whales and the dolphins and the sharks and all the rest of the marine life that lives out there, because we're damaging it and we're damaging them.
And we're all connected, Laurie. We're all connected, and that was the one thing that really stood out with this last mission to the moon with the astronauts. And one of their quotes was, they looked back, and in all the vastness, and the only living thing was planet Earth, and it was just one living planet. Mm-hmm. And that living planet encompasses us and all the critters, including the sea turtles. And it's really something that puts it into perspective. Everything is connected. Most definitely.
And you're making me want to break out in song, like The Circle of Life or something. But.
Right, oh yeah. It is. And sea turtles are one of the oldest animals known to man. So they were in the oceans when dinosaurs were on the land, which is really hard for us to even conceive that. But that's why I think it's so important to protect sea turtles, something that has survived our oceans for over 110 million years, that is threatened to be extinct on our watch. So it is very important. They're what we call a sentinel or keystone species, and that means they're an indicator species. So what is happening to them is eventually going to happen to all life. So it's really important to pay attention to what is happening with sea turtles.
Yes, I totally agree. But like I said, a lot of people don't believe some of the stuff that is out there. But and I can't say it's all us either. We do have environmental change naturally as well too. But I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we could be doing that we're not doing, and we're putting plastics and stuff like that in the oceans, and these turtles get caught in those too. That's another big thing, like the can rings and the bottle rings and stuff like that. They get caught in those. And I don't know, do turtles actually like swallow those kinds of things as well while they're eating or anything?
They do, and sea turtles are opportunistic feeders, which means if it's in front of them, they're going to try to eat it. What is really disheartening, a baby sea turtle or a hatchling, when they spend the first couple of years of life in the Sargassum Sea, and that is in the Gulf Stream current. And unfortunately, the other thing that ends up in that Gulf Stream current are all our plastics that break down. So I have people ask me, well, how big a piece of plastic could kill a sea turtle? Well, if you're a sea turtle hatchling that is about the size that would fit in the palm of your hand, they hatch out of an egg the size of a ping pong ball, and they go out into that Gulf Stream, and a BB-sized piece of plastic can get, block the intestines and kill a sea turtle. So the plastics that are in our oceans, and they go in this Gulf Stream current and they break down, but they don't go away, and they become these little, small pieces of plastic. And they're doing studies, and in the post-hatchlings, we call them, that's the ones that have been out in that Gulf Stream for a year or two, when there's a mortality event and we see those turtles and we necropsy them, we find that they have a gut and intestines full of plastics, and they haven't found any post-hatchlings that don't have, a stomach full of plastic.
Wow. That's disheartening, I mean,
yes,
it really is.
It really is. It is sad, but it really makes you realize, how critical it is to reduce the use of plastics, and the ones that we do use, and make sure that they don't end up in our water streams.
Lots of work to do, everybody. Lots of work to do.
We do, but, I have hope, Lori. There's a lot of awareness out there, I think, more than ever with technology and the internet and social media, compared to, the 80s when I was growing up. There is a lot more awareness, and that really is the first step, is for people to learn and become aware and then make better choices.
Oh, I totally agree. I advocate for a lot of different things. I mention frequently about the wild mustangs and everything that's being done with them because of BLM, and dog and cat rescues. I work with those a lot, and in fact, I'm with my Lions Club. We're doing an adoption event, pet adoption event here at the beginning of June. So
nice.
Yeah, so I've invited. I used to do animal control, so I've stayed in contact with a lot of the different rescues and stuff, and have met new ones as well. And so, I thought, well, what better way than to ask them all to come and the city's helping us, and we're using the city park. And what better way to have these guys come and have an event and try to help them get some of their animals adopted. So
I love that. Yeah, my daughter actually lives in Tampa now, and when she was here in the Keys, she did cats, and she volunteered with 3 different, of the cat organizations, because there's a feral cat population challenge down here, and she was really good with the bottle-fed kittens, and she, from the time she was 16 to 21, she, rehabilitated and adopted out over 100 kittens, which is amazing.
Oh, wow, that is amazing. That's
so
pretty cool.
There is a need in our communities for that.
There is. Most definitely there is, I know. And our rescues are always full at this point, and it's, terrible to see, all these animals' lives just going to waste because people won't spay and neuter, or they everybody's throwaway society. They do it with the elderly and children and stuff too, but it's just get a puppy or a dog and let's just get rid of it when it's not convenient anymore, but then turn around and get another one.
Right, that is...
Yeah. So, anyway, back to sea turtles. So, can you I wanted to ask, so the nets, I know we all understand, like, the nets and stuff can also get tangled around the sea turtles. Sometimes you just got to kind of be... a little more graphic and down to earth about things. What are some of the worst things you've seen nets that had? I can't talk. What are some of the worst things you've seen nets do to the sea turtles when they get tangled in them?
So one of the hardest things for me to see is a turtle that is 60 years old, has been out in our ocean, surviving our oceans for decades, and they get entangled in a commercial trap line. And if it doesn't drown them, a lot of times what we see is cut the circulation to their front flipper off for so long that it has to be amputated. So you have a turtle now that, relies on those flippers to survive in the wild, and it, loses a front limb, basically. So we see entanglements that cause, if not death, cause, flipper amputations. I've had an olive ridley, which we don't normally see in Florida, was in 60 pounds of fishing net. And was emaciated and near death, but we were able to rehabilitate it. But we do see a lot. I mean, just tonight we had a rescue in Key West, and but it was a boat strike turtle, and it was dead on arrival. So we do a lot of storytelling about the resilience of sea turtles and the ones that beat the odds and make it. And for every one that goes out, there's one that doesn't make it, and it's hard to see. This goes up, Lori. Just what we're doing to our marine ecosystems. I can't stress enough how important it is if you're out in the water, if you're fishing, diving, boating, and you see discarded fishing gear, how important it is to bring that back with you and dispose of it properly. You most definitely are going to be saving some kind of sea creature by retrieving that, for sure.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they would. Yeah. And there are some groups and people out there that do go out and they're like doing the beach cleanups, and they're trying to clean up in some of the water and stuff. But it's very few, so unfortunately, maybe we start getting people to realize, how more important it is. I mean, why do you got to throw your trash in the oceans and stuff like that? I can't even handle. It drives me crazy when people throw their trash out of their vehicles out here or something like that. I can't stand that. That's a big pet peeve of mine. And my children, as they were growing up, if they ever tried to throw any trash out of the car, they got in trouble for it. And it's a big pet peeve of mine, because I just can't stand seeing the litter. And here in Arizona, you don't really have the litter laws. So,
oh, wow.
Yeah, so I mean, literally, I'm on my way going down the road the other day and got to an intersection with a stoplight and watched the car ahead of me toss their cups of soda out the window in front of me, and I was just like, oh, no, you didn't.
Wow. We got some work to do, like you said, to educate people. Wow.
Oh, yeah, I couldn't believe it. I was sitting behind them. I was like, you did not just throw those cups out your windows.
Goodness. Well, I have a good story, just very relevant. I went for a run this evening, before I came back to do this podcast, and I was running on the beach, and there was a young boy. He couldn't have been more than 5 or 6, and he had one of the buckets and the pickup, like the pinchers, and he was collecting trash. And I just stopped him. I said, "Do you know you're an ocean hero?" And he just, puffed up and was, he had a bucket full of trash. So, there is a lot of good happening out there as well, even starting from a very young age.
Yep, that's a great story. So would you mind kind of walking us through the journey of rescued turtle from the time you guys, get called out and take him in up to his release? Obviously you do different things for different things that have happened to him, but what does it kind of typically look like once you get out there on that call?
So the first and most important thing is somebody is on the water. They recognize that a sea turtle is in distress, and they know who to call. We have a 24-hour stranding hotline that we man 24 hours a day. Florida Fish and Wildlife, they have an 800 number that you can call if there's wildlife in distress. So one of those 2 phone calls can be made. But most of the calls in the Florida Keys come from people out on the water. We don't have a lot of beaches like the rest of Florida. We are rocky core rock islands, so most of our turtles are found out on the water. So you can also radio the Coast Guard on channel 16 on VHF radio, so a lot of our calls come in that way. Once we get the call here, the most important thing is for that person that sees the turtle that they stay with the turtle and keep eyes on the turtle. We have a lot of currents around here. If you leave the turtle odds of us finding it again are very slim. So that's an important thing. We have people call in and they give us coordinates and say, here's a turtle entangled. We had one the other day in a lawn chair, and but those turtles go away with the current, and if we don't have somebody keeping an eye on them, we can never get to it. So then comes the challenge of getting out to the turtle. A lot of times we'll go out with the Coast Guard on their boat, or Florida Fish and Wildlife. We'll get out to the turtle and bring it back to shore. And then we have, Lori, a turtle hospital ambulance, if you can believe it. It's actually a crew van that's fashioned like an ambulance, complete with the flashing lights and rescue equipment inside. We have 4 of those, and we will pick the turtle up in the turtle hospital ambulance and bring it to the hospital, where it will come into our emergency room. It's going to look a lot like a human emergency room. We're going to take a weight, measurements. We're going to get x-rays. We have digital x-ray here at the Turtle Hospital. We're going to collect blood. We have blood processing equipment in-house. We're going to get all that information, and it's going to go to our veterinarian, and he's going to prescribe treatment, which we start right away. A lot of times starts with fluids to hydrate a really sick animal before we can start medications. And of course, if it's something obvious like a boat strike and there's bleeding, or anything that the turtle needs to be stabilized, that will happen as well. So it gets very busy in the emergency room, and then once the turtle is stabilized, we're going to take it out into the back of the facility, where we have 23 hospital tanks, and that turtle is going to be tested in very shallow water to make sure that it can raise its head and breathe. It's strong enough for that, and then becomes the long process of rehabilitation.
Wow. But it's worth it. You're saving the turtle. So, now sea turtles, they stay at sea pretty much all the time, unless they only come up on beaches to lay their eggs, correct?
That's a good point. So a baby sea turtle is a very solitary animal. Once they hatch out of the nest, there's no mom or dad or aunt or uncle anywhere around. They just go back, right out into the big ocean, out to the Gulf Stream, and they live a solitary life. The females are going to come back to their natal beach. That's the beach where they hatched out on, and they're going to lay their nest, but that's not till they're 20 to 25 years old, and that's when they reach sexual maturity.
Wow.
The males are not going to come back to the beach unless there's a problem.
Wow. So is it kind of like in Moana, where the baby sea turtle's trying to get out to the ocean and the seagulls are trying to get them?
Exactly. I actually ran the Disney Marathon dressed as Moana. I had to save the turtle shirt on with Moana, and I love that part of the story, of course. But everything eats baby sea turtles. 2 red ant bites can kill a sea turtle hatchling, so that's how sensitive they are. Everything on the shore eats them, from crabs, to raccoons, to coyotes and dogs. And once they enter the water, shorebirds, fish, a lot of things eat baby sea turtles. And that's why the mama turtles lay, a large clutch. So each nest, it contains about 100 or 120 eggs, and she'll lay, 3 to 5 times in a season. And that's because a lot of things in nature eat baby sea turtles.
I was going to say, do you guys happen to know about how many actually survive?
Well, there are statistics. They say 1 in 1,000 makes it through their first year, and maybe 1 in 5,000 to sexual maturity.
Wow.
So that is why we take very seriously when you have a mature turtle that has been injured. It's so important to get that reproductive animal back into the wild to do its thing and help propagate the species.
Yeah, no kidding. With odds like that. Oh my goodness. I know, I was just thinking about that. I'm like, is that really what it's like? I wonder for them. It has to be.
It is. And another thing that people don't think about, but as our climate is warming up, here in Florida, the past 4 summers have been the hottest on record. A sea turtle's gender is determined by the temperature of the sand when those eggs are incubating.
Oh, wow.
It's called temperature-dependent sex determination. It basically means hot summers. have mostly females, and cooler summers mostly males. And so for the past 4 or 5 summers, they've had mostly female turtles. It's not just here in Florida, but there was a study came out of Australia that 99% of the hatchlings were female. So those warmer temperatures are affecting the population. And we won't see that for another 20, 25 years, how dramatically it is affecting it, but it is something that we got to pay attention to.
Most definitely. That's wow. Yeah. I can understand why that's crazy. I didn't know that about the sand and the temperature and stuff, determining the sex of the turtle. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Learning something new all the time.
Yeah, these turtles are up against a lot.
Yeah.
But I can say that they are incredibly resilient, and ones that, have a low blood volume and things that mammals would not survive. When we give them good supportive care, we can bring a lot of them through and back to good health.
Right. That's good news. I mean, yeah. And once you have gotten a turtle there in the hospital and you've gotten them all, through rehab and stuff like that, how do you actually decide if the turtle's, ready to go back out to the wild or if they're not quite ready to go back out? I mean, what do you guys use for determining factors?
That's a good question, and how we gauge that a lot is from behavior. We look, are they eating, are they foraging, are they able to swim strong? We have some larger pools that if we're not sure if they're going to be strong enough, we will put them in a 30,000 gallon tank, or that tidal pool is 160,000 gallons, and we'll see how they do in bigger water. We also monitor their blood work. So once they're off medications, we're going to repeat blood work 2 weeks after and make sure all their blood levels are still normalized. And so it's, the blood chemistry and behavior, observing them behaviorally are the 2 main things we look at.
Okay. Yeah, because I've seen, looking at your site and stuff, I've seen a couple of videos, and then when you were talking with Arthur and stuff like that, what you guys it was kind of cool to see that. So I'm going to have to talk about this Zoom thing. That'd be cool to get to do the little tour and stuff and see the hospital.
Yeah, it's something different. People really enjoy it.
I'm sure. So when it gets finally to that day where you guys have decided that it's release day for the turtles, how does that release day feel for you guys and you and your team? And have you ever tracked a turtle after you release it to see, how well it does, if it thrives or not?
We do. So it's a big event. We make it a big event. A lot of that is to educate the general public. So we will announce as soon as we have a turtle cleared for release, and we have a release date. Sometimes we know a week ahead, sometimes it's just the day before, but we will put it on our social media, the local radio, in the local newspapers, and we have anywhere from 100 to 500 people come out to the beach to help cheer these turtles on as they go back into the ocean.
Oh, wow.
It's such just an amazing feeling to see a turtle that would not have made it return to the wild as a healthy animal. And people say, do you miss them? And I really never miss them, because there's always another turtle waiting for that tank to be rehabilitated, and so many of them don't make it. It is such a high to see them go back out. We just released a turtle for Earth Day, Nutella, and she came in. She had horrific tumors on both her eyes. We didn't know if she was visual. She had ingested fishing line. A lot of times that becomes a mortality event for an animal. It gets stuck in their intestines, and we were able to, help her get that passed. She had entanglement on one flipper that had cut off the circulation, and we had to do a lot of work with class 4 laser and massage to save that flipper. So to see an animal like Nutella after months of rehab be strong and healthy and go out is just an incredible feeling.
That is incredible. I can't believe that poor turtle had all of that going on. My gosh.
And she crashed after her first tumor removal surgery, and we didn't think if she was going to make it through that. She really came through a lot. And we put satellite tags on maybe 2 turtles a year. We're selective with that for a lot of reasons, because you are putting something on a turtle that you don't want to give a turtle that already may have a handicap, like with a missing flipper or something, another, brief handicap with that satellite tag. And they're very expensive. They cost us about $5,000 a tag to have the tag put on and monitored. But we have our most recent turtle, Molly, was our internet sensation. She was a 170-pound loggerhead sea turtle that had a 10.1-pound tumor.
Oh, wow.
On her shoulder. She came in and was entangled in a trap line. She also had critically low blood values. It surprised us and came through everything, and very strong, and she is still out there with the satellite tag on her. We released her in November with a satellite tag out of Key West, and she went all the way up to Cape Coral, where she hung out for a little bit, and she is back in the Keys, an area where the adult males are known to hang out. It's mating season, so we're hoping that Molly, she is a reproductive female, and that she's out there, propagating the species. But you can follow her online, which is really fun. Again, the name of the turtle is Molly, and you can go to our website at turtlehospital.org, and you'll find a link where to follow Molly.
Go Molly.
Go Molly.
That's pretty cool. I like being able to see some of the different things. They actually, I don't know who does it, what company, but anyway, they had the bracelets and stuff where you could track the turtles or the whales or whatever. Yeah. So I bought a couple of those for my grandkids and stuff like that. So
that's really fun. Yeah, it is. I mean, it's incredible to me how a turtle like Molly can get so many people to fall in love with sea turtles. People, I feel generally as human beings, we want to care about something. Molly's story just blew up across social media platforms. She has one video that has over 71 million views for one video. So she's by far our most popular turtle. I'm getting ready to run an ultra marathon next month, and it raises money for the Florida Keys Cancer Foundation, and I'm running on One Health and just helping to raise awareness that not only people get cancer, but turtles like Molly get cancer, and our marine ecosystems and our planet, everything again is connected, and just following a story like Molly's just helps you to realize how connected we really are.
Yeah, that's amazing that she's got to be such a big sensation, but people actually like the underdog, and she had all that going on and made it through. So people do care. I mean, there are people out there that care. It's just seems like they're hard to find sometimes.
Yeah, well, fortunately in my line of work, I when people come here, they leave, they fall in love with sea turtles, and I feel like I get to see the best in people in what I do. Even though we see the worst that's happening to our marine ecosystem, I do see people, it really changes the way they look at their world.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully how they treat it.
Well, yeah, and I mean, and we've talked a little bit about climate change and all that kind of stuff, but how do you think these changes in the, I mean, well, you don't think, but you probably know, how are the changes in the climate kind of shaping the future of sea turtles at this point?
Well, in the big way, with the temperature-dependent sex determination, I would say that's the biggest way it's affecting it. The disease I spoke about, fibropapillomatosis, the temperature of the water definitely affects those tumors growing. It's a certain temperature range. It's a warmer temperature range. We used to only see it further south, and now we see it as far up in the United States as Texas and northern Florida.
That's wow.
So it's affecting diseases like that. The algae blooms, the toxic algae blooms that we see with the warm waters. I've had 2 cases, saxitocin cases, which is a biotoxin. I've been here 14 years, and I've just in the past 2 years seen our first cases of mortality event from biotoxins.
Wow.
And that has to do with the algae blooms and the temperature.
So it definitely is not looking good for the turtles at all with everything that's going on.
It is challenging,
Yeah,
for sure.
sounds like it. I mean, the poor turtles, all this stuff going on, and then us people out here, you know, and like we were talking about, we need to start doing better. We need to quit throwing our trash in the oceans. We need to quit doing a lot of things. I mean, what do you think would be the biggest thing, in your opinion, that people need to do, that, you know, that they could help, you know, with protecting the sea turtles in their future?
I think the biggest thing, as I get asked this question a lot, is to fall in love with sea turtles. Because when we love something, we care for it, and that's going to cover all the other bases. When you care for something, you're going to want the environment that they live in to be clean and healthy, and that is everything from what you do when you're making a purchase. You know, if you're choosing something that's a single-use plastic rather than something that can decompose, what you do, how you dispose of your trash is very important. What you spray on your lawn, even if you live in the middle of the country. Stuff does not go away. That's something we have learned. We're very smart about that now. That when you spray something on your lawn to kill something, it's killing a lot of things, and it's trickling down and it's getting into our waterways, and it is affecting all of life. So those decisions you make every day have an impact, and I think it's important. Again, if you fall in love with the things that live in the ocean and on our planet, it's going to help you to make better choices.
Yes, I think so too. And there's a lot. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I've talked to so many different groups and rescues and stuff like that over the years, and it's funny. I'm from Michigan originally, and you know, and I've lived in the southern states and possums, and I was never one for possums. I just didn't really care for possums. But then I had this interview with this possum rescue and saw some of the pictures, and I just fell in love with one of the little possums that she had there, she rescued. And it was like, so now it's kind of like I look at possums in a totally different light.
I love possums. I've rescued possums.
Yeah, so it's like, they're not as bad as you really think they are, and they do a lot of good things. So, but you know, I have friends that have horses, and they're just like, oh, they do not want to have any possums around. So,
right. Or chickens. You don't want them in your chicken coop. I've had that challenge.
yeah, no, probably not. No, that probably wouldn't be good either. So, but yeah, that's too funny. So some of these things you don't even think about until you actually either talk about it, or you see it, or you know, you hear a bit about it, you know, to where it's kind of like, oh, okay, you know what? Yeah, no, I really like this. So same thing with sea turtles. Lots of people could be listening to this and start looking at sea turtles and things like that and go, oh, you know, and yeah. So do you guys have anything at the Turtle Hospital exciting coming up? Any kind of projects or research or anything like that you'd like to mention?
We do. So we do blood transfusions here at the Turtle Hospital, and we have a population of turtles that are deemed non-releasable. They're what we call bubble butts, or they have positive buoyancy disorder from boat strikes, and they're otherwise healthy. There are blood donors. So we're working with University of Florida on a blood study, and one of my goals for the Turtle Hospital is to become a blood bank for other rehabilitation facilities, you know, up the coast. So that is a big thing that we are working on. We are working on chemotherapy studies. So this disease, the fibropapillomatosis, it has been, you know, scientifically published. We were part of a paper with Dr. David Duffy at the University of Florida that shows that these tumors have the same genetic vulnerability as human cancer. So we're working on chemotherapy studies like electrochemotherapy and other ways that we can treat this disease from that standpoint. So there's some of the, you know, interesting research projects that we're working on. We have a permit application in to do an immunology study, looking at the immune system of these turtles and why some of them in certain areas are covered in tumors and other turtles, you know, not too far away or not. We have had in water studies where we studied the local population of turtles. We found the bay here in the Florida Keys that 100% of those turtles have tumors. which is frightening to me. But so we have a lot going on here at the Turtle Hospital.
Well, that's good, though. I mean, it's good because you guys are doing a lot of good things with all that stuff you were just talking about with the, the tumor research and the becoming a blood bank and all of that stuff for some of the other rescues. That's pretty darn awesome stuff to hear about. I mean, wow, you guys are moving along.
We are. It's an interesting time, in sea turtle medicine and research, and it is. We are having challenges with our political environment. It's getting harder to get permits to do some of these, needed studies, but we are tenacious, and we are going to, do what we need to do to help the sea turtles.
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think you're the only one that's running into a bunch of bureaucracy trying to do stuff with rescued animals and saving animals and stuff like that, rehabilitating them. So, yeah, I think everybody's feeling it. Just a message
to anyone feeling that, just stay strong and, keep your goal in mind and just, go through the red tape you have to go through to get there.
Yep, exactly. Sooner or later, your voice will be heard, and you'll get what you need. Hopefully, anyway. Fingers crossed, guys. Well, we're getting towards the end of the podcast, and we've learned quite a bit about sea turtles and the Turtle Hospital and all the great things that you guys are doing. If listeners would like to go and take a look themselves and learn more about you guys, or even, donate, help support your mission or anything like that, where can they find you guys at online?
You can find us on the internet at turtlehospital.org, that's O-R-G, and across the social media platforms. I do live feeds from the turtle tank, so you'll get to know our patients. And a couple times a week, I'll go live on Facebook. We share on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, so look for us there. On Facebook, we're The Turtle Hospital. On TikTok, we're The Turtle Hospital, and on Instagram, you're going to find us under Marathon Turtle Hospital. And you'll find me personally under Turtle Betty. You can follow along in my One Health 100-mile ultra marathon, where hopefully I have the resilience of Molly to get through those 100 miles.
No kidding. That's going to be a long marathon. Is it all at one time, or do you split it up?
It's all at one time. It'll be overnight.
Oh, my goodness. That's a lot of miles to be running, girl.
It is, but I have a lot driving me. So.
Yeah, well, I wish you luck with your marathon. I hope you do well in it.
Thank you.
And I'm going to post the link to Turtle Hospital on my Facebook page as well, so if you guys happen to be on my page, you want to go check out their information, you guys can get there from my page, and you don't have to go searching around. So I always try to make that a little easier for all of my podcast guests to get noticed and stuff. But with that, I really appreciate you coming on and talking about turtle rescue stories and about some of all these really cool tidbits and stuff about turtles and what you guys are doing there and how you all got started. That was a very interesting story.
Well, thank you, and thank you for helping to shine a light on sea turtles. And just remember, everybody, compassion is contagious. So, fall in love with sea turtles.
Yep, exactly. And I'm definitely going to check with my Lions Club about doing the meeting, because I think this would be really cool to be able to do. So I'm going to check with them, and if they decide to do it, I'll be getting in touch with you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you for all that you do.
Well, thank you, and you guys and your team and everybody. Kudos to everything that you guys are doing for the sea turtles, too. But with that being said, I'm actually going to talk about my next couple of upcoming podcasts. I know, being in the Keys there, you guys are quite a bit ahead of me. So if you would like to jump off, you are more than welcome to go finish out your night. And if not, you can stay on and listen. But like I said, I'm just going to announce the next couple podcasts. So.
All right. Thank you, Lori. Have a wonderful evening.
All right. You too, Betty. Hopefully talk to you soon. All right, everybody. So that was really interesting and cool to find out all these really neat things about sea turtles. I'm so glad that she could come on and join us and talk about the sea turtle rescue that her and the Turtle Hospital and all those great people down there are doing. So for the next upcoming podcast, though, on May 14th, my podcast is Back from the Brink, the California Condor story. So I think it's really cool. I'm going to have Kelly Sorensen on with me, and he is going to talk with me about California condors and how they came back from the brink. He is the executive director at the Ventana Wildlife Society, and he's done a lot of research on condors, I guess you might say, and has worked with them a lot and the conservation of them, and educating all of us people out here in the public about condors, and again, what we can kind of do to help out, with what's going on and stuff like that. So I'm thinking that's going to be a really good podcast that I'll have Kelly on with me to talk about the condors. Yay. And then the one after that is actually going to have Matthew Myluka, I hope I'm saying Matthew's name correctly, on with me, and he is from the Honeybee Health Coalition, and we are going to be talking about honeybee health. My podcast is actually called Buzzkill or Breakthrough, the truth about honeybee health, because we've been hearing a lot out there about honeybees and how their populations are declining, which is not good because they are pollinators and they pollinate an awful lot of stuff that, we really don't want to not have pollinated, because then we don't get new plants and stuff like that. So anyway, so Matthew's with the Honeybee Health Coalition, and that is a group, actually, of different types of people that have come together. Let me see, honeybee, beekeepers, the growers, researchers, and government are all involved in this coalition, and they are doing a lot of research and trying to implement solutions that can help the honeybee population and be healthy, and because again, they're the pollinators in our agricultural systems and our ecosystems, and if we don't have them, we don't have plants. So that's probably not a good thing if we lose our honeybees. So he'll be on May 28th. I'll be talking with Matthew about from the Honeybee Coalition about honeybees and their health, and what the coalition does to try to help the honeybees out. So those are going to be two really good podcasts. So don't forget, on May 14th, Back from the Brink, the California Condor story. And on May 28th, Buzzkill or Breakthrough, the real truth about the honeybee health. So I'm looking forward to all of those. And that's pretty much it for the podcast tonight, everybody. I'm glad you all could join in, and I hope you found the sea turtle shell rescue stories a hit, and you all enjoyed it. And go learn some more about sea turtles and about the Turtle Hospital, and if you can, make a donation to those guys and help them out. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. So, and with that being said, I hope you guys all have a great weekend. Try to stay safe out there. And remember, guys, we are the caretakers of the planet that we're on. So let's try taking care of it a little bit better and helping out all these different animals that need help, the marine life and all the different wild animals out there in the forests and in the trees and in the jungles and stuff too. I mean, this stuff affects them all. So let's try to be a little more conscious of what we're doing. But anyway, all right, like I said, you guys all have a great weekend. Don't forget to come on back on May 14th for the next podcast, and hopefully you guys will tune back in. All right, bye for now.